Hello everybody, and welcome to the Whiskey Dictionary. My goal with this channel is to introduce you to some new whiskeys that you may never have tried, or in today's example, one that we all know and love. Now today we're going to be talking about the highest selling American whiskey in the world, a drink that we've all been on the wrong side of, Jack Daniels. Hello everybody, and welcome to the Whiskey Dictionary. It's really funny to see that old video. I've gone back and rewatched it a few times, just to kind of see how far it's come. So, for those of you that can read titles of, videos, I just hit 50,000 subscribers. So, I want to do kind of a midday stream just to be able to get some additional people who normally can't tune in because maybe it's the middle of the night where they are, or just timing is not convenient to do it at nighttime. So, I also have the day off. Thought that maybe it'd be fun to go live and do a little something here. So, I have a few things to talk about today, and then I've got the Wheel of Doom going on over here. I've got some giveaways today. I'm gonna just kind of do a couple of news articles that struck me as interesting this last week, and then we'll see where we end up. But just real quick, anybody who does any super chat of any size today will be entered into one of two different $50 gift cards to whatever local liquor store you have. Or a Total Wine if it's really close, because those are really convenient to give out gift cards. So either way, we'll figure something out, and if you are one of the selected people, then we'll figure it out. So let's go ahead and start off today first with a pick of some sort of whiskey, because I always like to start the stream off. Additionally, actually, I forgot to mention, so I poured a mystery whiskey in this glass here, and I might give some hints over the course of the night, but I'm not going to say what's in here. If you happen to guess it, there's going to be a little something special that I'm going to send your way. So go ahead and, as the night progresses, just kind of throw your guesses in here, and hopefully I notice them. Let me make the chat a little bit bigger and just say hi to a few people. Let me take that back. I'm going to pick a whiskey first, then I'm going to say hi to a few people. So here is the wheel. Let me grab a glass and pick something at random here, hopefully something good. Thank you guys to all of you that are saying congratulations. I really appreciate that. 50K is no small feat. All right, so this is the Loch Lomond, 18-year, 46%. The sample oh, geez. Yeah, no, okay, sorry. Got timing of the thing. Anyway, Loch Lomond, 18-year, 46%. This sample comes from Matt from the Whiskey Crusaders, so thank you, Matt. Let me just pour this, what I expect to be quite glorious Scotch. Put that to the side here. It is not Johnny Walker Red. Good guess. That would have been a little too easy, I think. All right, so that's smelling wonderful. Actually, oddly, a little grassy, a little lemony. Thank you, Dribs and Drams. Thanks, Brothers of the Dram. Thank you all to anybody who's suggested my channel out to other people over the years. Brought other people into the whiskey community as a whole, and to my channel in particular. You're doing very good things out there. Hey, Swami, thank you very much. I've heard you have tiny feet. I actually do have oddly small feet for a guy who's 6'3". I wear a size 10.5, which, I mean, it's not small, but I feel like I should have like a size 15, right? So, I don't know, whatever. I'll take the subtle insult though, Swami, and thank you for the super chat. So cheers to you. You just brought up a good point. Where is my power glove? Hold that thought for 1 sec. I gotta get that power glove. You're completely right. That was a total oversight on my part. I know exactly where it is. I cannot believe that I forgot the power glove. Boy, thank you so much. I'm also glad I chose to wear pants. Unlike my buddy Eric Waite, who often doesn't, or at least makes that claim. All right, there's the glove. Let's see. Let me make this chat a little bigger. I don't know if I wish YouTube had a better way to do that. All right, super hard to scroll. Okay. No, not Lagavulin 16, although that's another great guess. Not Brooklotti, not Glenmorangie Signet, although I would love to get another one of those. For those of you joining late, just real quick, I'm going to do 2 different $50 gift card giveaways to anybody who super chats. It'll be to your local liquor store, so just over the course of the night, whatever comes in, or day, I should say. It is day drinking. So, let me talk a little bit. I'm gonna wax a little bit about YouTube here. So, you got your Loch Lomond 18 in the glass with me. Thanks, Scotch Down Under. That's great. It's not Classic Lottie. So, I'm all over the place here. I don't stream very often, as you guys have probably noticed, and so this is a little unfamiliar territory for me. But I think I just need to slow down. Let me have a sip here. The taste here is reflective of those couple little notes I gave in the nose, but I want to go a little deeper than that. It doesn't have that grass, but it is lemony. It is very, very mildly malty. It's very light. Actually, it has a little bit of a... Trying to compare this to something else I know. I don't drink Scotch. Well, I drink plenty of Scotch, actually. Can somebody tell me which area Loch Lomond is from? I feel like it's got characteristics of kind of a lowland whiskey, but as you guys know, things can vary significantly among regions. So I'm just curious. Definitely not Quebecers included. Does the SAQ even do gift cards? Yeah, I mean, whoever ends up winning, we'll figure it out. Whether I have to just mail you a check for $50, I don't care. We'll figure it out, and one way or another, you guys will get stuff. All right. You think it's Highland? Okay. Well, that would make sense considering I'm wrong. All right. I'm gonna keep drinking this, but let me talk a little bit about YouTube. There's a lot of stuff that's happened over the last 6 years, and when I think back about this channel and about the way it's both grown and kind of, I guess, what's the term? The channel is large, but I've seen my viewership drop considerably, and I have some ideas about that. So when I first started, I've told this story multiple times on the channel. Highlands, but very low in the Highlands, and they're very unique. Okay, that makes me feel better. Thanks for bailing me out a little bit there. So when I first started, I first saw the Scotch Test Dummies. They were actually the very first people I ever saw on YouTube reviewing whiskey. And I thought to myself, that looks like fun. And I think, those guys, they have good character, good personalities. And they were just kind of riffing on the whiskey, being a little educational, and generally just going into nosing, tasting, whatever. And I thought to myself, you know what? Although Ralphie could talk for ages about any whiskey and be super informative, I didn't see a whole lot of channels out there that were doing a shorter version of giving detail or knowledge about the distilleries and the whiskey in particular. And that's kind of what I based the channel on. So when I sorry, actually, I don't know if there's any are there any admins or any... Yeah, Steve, if you plan on being here the whole time, Steve, if you could help me kind of keep track of anybody who super chats, that would be super helpful. I do have a widget in here in YouTube, but I've never used it for this purpose before, so I just want to make sure that I don't miss anybody. So far, Swami's the one who's done it so far. All right, anyway, so I decided to start a channel up where the main goal was to teach people about whiskey. And at the time, I really knew very little about whiskey. That didn't really stop me, though. Like, there's not a whole lot that you can't research and learn a lot about in a short amount of time, at least to get to more than just a novice or even an intermediate. So what I wanted to do was educate. And that's... thank you, Jonathan. That's always been the goal of the channel. What I've noticed in recent time is a shift, in WhiskeyTube towards entertainment, which is great because, frankly, it needed some. A lot of the personalities, they were great, but we needed some changes. I haven't changed. I've, introduced little things here and there, but I'm not like a particularly funny guy, right? But, you get other channels like the Bourbon Junkies or the Mash and Drum or, probably several others that are escaping me at the moment. and they put on a show. I've always just kind of done whatever. But that's why I don't do live streams so much anymore. Just I know some of you guys have asked. It's more not my style. I tend to not have the time to prep properly for them in order to kind of teach. But anyway, I prefer to do regular style videos that are short. So let's go on here. A little bit more about YouTube. So with YouTube, they introduce these new features all the time. And if you utilize them, you do much better. So like you guys have probably seen Eric Waite doing those shorts recently. And they're doing great. I mean, they've been awesome for his channel. And I'm gonna convert over my Tuesday trivia to be in that short style, because that's a fun thing that I like to do. It's right in line with the brand that I'm trying to do of education and learning, and I think that will be cool. So anyway, that's enough about YouTube for the moment. This whiskey's pretty tasty. I don't think this is my thing so much, or at least maybe I haven't quite gotten into it as much as I need to. Certainly wouldn't be disheartened if I bought a bottle, but thanks, Trust. I probably wouldn't be disappointed if I bought a bottle, but off the first couple of sips here, I don't think it's something I would recommend to kind of newer whiskey drinkers. Thank you, Fletch. Appreciate it. I think I missed somebody else in there as well. Somebody from the Netherlands. Mark? Sorry. Oh, wow. Thank you, Floyd. Congrats on 50K, Bill. Who knew so many people wanted to watch a whiskey dick? Seriously, though, well done. Here's to sharing a dram in person when this mess clears up. Cheers. Yeah, here's a question for the group here. Actually, two questions, I guess. Number one is, when travel is kind of more normalized again, I would love to do kind of a guided bourbon trail tour thing as a group. You know, kind of book it as just this big group thing, buses, the whole shebang. Like, I'll do all the planning and all of that stuff. You guys just sign up. Is that a thing you'd be interested in? Obviously the time frame of the year, but just as a generality. Like, would you guys be willing to fly over to Kentucky and do a big bourbon trail with a bunch of fun people over, let's say, like 3 days? I think that would be something awesome. It's something I really want to do. Honestly, I might even be able to drag my wife out. She just doesn't love whiskey. I won't say hate, but she does not love whiskey. But I do think that she would come to something like that. I think it'd be super fun. Hell yeah, hell yes, I would be. Awesome, good. If we get Scotch Down Under to 1K subs, he will do a stream in Borat Mankini. I think that's all the evidence I need, or all the reasoning I need not to want him to get to 1K subs. However, actually, I will say Scotch Down Under was clutch for me. So a half an hour before the stream started, I was at 49,998 subscribers, and I was sweating a little bit. I was like, what if I'm about to do this 50K subscriber thing and I don't even have 50,000 subscribers? But he had a few people watching his stream, and he put it out there that, you know, hey, go sub to this guy. And I ended up getting, I think, like 6 more people just kind of in the last minute. So thank you, Scotch Down Under. You will forever go down as the guy who helped me reach that milestone. All right, so a lot of people totally into it. Awesome. That's really good to know. Now, a pilgrimage to Scotland, that would be super fun too. I think I kind of want to cut my teeth on the planning piece for Kentucky because that's local here. But absolutely, it'd be super fun to go to Scotland. I really, I mean, there's 100,000 actually, there's like 400,000 reasons not to have wanted coronavirus to happen. But boy, did it just put a damper on my whole year. I had so many of these distillery tour things planned. I mentioned it last week, last Monday with Robert Licorice, who was on the stream, that I had planned to go to Iron Root. I had planned to go to place in Iowa, Cedar Ridge, and a few others as well, just to do distillery tours, film there. I bought all this new equipment. Not unless you guys are patrons, you haven't seen my new studio down here, at least past the camera. But like, there's just so much gear here that I bought specifically to travel and film. So, bad timing. Let's see, Dribs and Drams. On my main channel, I live stream Tuesday nights. I go through drams pretty fast, though when I'm just enjoying a dram, I can make one last over an hour. Do you find the same? Honestly, no. I've always been kind of a fast eater, and I think I've always been a fast drinker, too. And that is unfortunate. But yeah, I tend to go through whiskeys a little too quickly, even when I'm drinking for review purposes, like when I'm taking all my notes before I film an episode, but also when I'm just hanging out drinking. Um, Now, question for you guys. Even if it's kind of an embarrassing answer, and by embarrassing, I mean something like you are the kind of person who loves multi-$100 scotches, or drinks expensive bourbons, or drinks just fancy, rare, hard to find bourbons, or whatever. What is the whiskey that you will just pull off the shelf when you just want to drink and you don't want to think? That is an awesome question as far as I'm concerned. And I'm going to give you my answer in just a minute, but I want to let some answers roll in first. Do I have a goal to YouTube for a few years? So I'm going to pull back the curtain a little bit here. I've always kind of been very, very bluntly honest with you guys. I've always felt that people who tune into a live stream should get a different experience than people who watch a YouTube channel. The amount of times that I've thought about quitting this channel over the last few years is in the dozens. And there's reasons for that. It's hard to go from one of the top dogs to less so. But what I've been able to do, and the reason I'm still doing the channel, is I've reset goals. I no longer need to be, the top channel, because first off, I'm not. There's a lot of smaller that were smaller channels, say like less than a couple years ago, who have now even surpassed my channel. And honestly, like Jason from the Mash and Drum, totally well deserved, is probably going to outpace me in a couple of months. He'll probably hit that 50K. And it's disheartening for me, not because of the other people, but that I'm not better. And so when I think about that, it's depressing, right? Or it's disheartening, or it's demotivating at the best, or at the least. And that makes it tough. But what it ends up doing is it puts me in a funk for like a day. And then what I tend to come out of the other side of it with is a dozen new ideas. And that's always been my process. And it's a hard process because it's, like I said, it's demotivating. But it's just the way my brain works. I get bummed out about something and then I do something about it. So you asked me what my goal for YouTube is over the next few years. My short goal is just to keep doing it. If I keep on this channel and keep doing what I'm doing, things will be well. Things will be good. I'll keep getting lots of cool experiences with just distillers, having people on the channel, having you guys show up, enjoying the videos, commenting on things. But one thing, and this is another tournament. Geez, I haven't drank nearly enough to be talking about this stuff yet. One thing that kind of, hold on. So Dave, thank you. 50K subs is very impressive. As a longtime subscriber, I've witnessed firsthand that you have more than earned this. Congrats, enjoy the moment. Thank you, Dave. I appreciate that. I'm going to read some of those answers in a second. What was I saying? So, shoot, totally lost track of what I was saying. Whatever. All right, I'll get back to that. Somebody remind me. But some of the answers that came in for those I gotta take this thing off. I can't scroll the wheel on the mouse here, and I gotta be able to read these things. I'll put it back in a minute. To anybody who joined late, there is a mystery dram in this glass. First person who guesses it will get a little something special. Not telling what it will be, but we'll figure it out. All right. So, and what I'm gonna do is I'll go back through the chat after the stream is over and find the right answer, because I don't want to just be scanning the chat the whole time. All right, so Green Label, Elijah Craig, rum, interesting. Ardbeg 10. Now, see, Ardbeg 10 is a great one. Ardbeg 10 is not one that I drink casually so much, although Port Ellen is starting to become that for me. So after doing that Port Ellen review the other day, that was interesting. Bourbon in general, Glenlivet 12, Bullet Bourbon. Now, I'm proud of you, Mike, for putting that out there. I feel like Bullet doesn't get the praise that it probably should, mostly because, similar to Jack Daniels, actually no, I'm actually gonna go away from Jack for a sec. Bullet Bourbon brings so many people into whiskey that it deserves kudos just for that. I feel like Jack Daniels actually turns as many people off of whiskey as it does bring people in. All right, Jack Daniels, Gentleman Jack. All right, that makes some sense. Weller Special Reserve. Mark, you're just flexing. Come on. Depends on my mood. Elijah Craig, Larceny, or a local distillery. Cool. Buffalo Trace, Green Spot. It's not Green Spot in the Glen. Nope. It's not black velvet. Cool. It is whiskey in the mystery glass. Good question, Spencer. That would have actually been fantastic to have just put some water in there or something. Is it proper 12? It's not. Spencer, you suck. You got it too early, man. Yeah, it is Jack Daniel's Old Number 7. I thought it was appropriate to do the first whiskey I ever reviewed on this channel in the mystery glass. So Spencer, I very much know how to get in touch with you. We will talk after the stream. You got some good stuff coming your way. Basically, it's basically a package of everything I do, like all of my stuff. Like you're going to get a whiskey dictionary, you're going to get glass, you're going to get a rocks glass, a couple of other things. So good job, Spencer. Nice job. Excellent. Cool. I think it's about time to pull another whiskey off of the Wheel of Doom. As I'm doing this, quick reminder, anybody who super chats will be entered to win one of two $50 gift cards to their local liquor store, preferably Total Wine because it's super easy for me, but we could discuss it. So, what do I want to get? Let's grab you. What are you? Let's see. Ooh, yay! Oh, yay! It's Bruichladdich Islay Barley 2011. I am saying yay, not only because I think this is probably going to be tasty, but just that I've really wanted to try this. Hey, Floyd, I'm glad you like it. Yeah, that's the Wheel of Doom. I think some of you, probably all of you know this at this point. I built this thing several years ago as the turntable to do my B-roll on. Like the very first episode that has the Jack Daniels and the Gentleman Jack, it's rotating and everything, that was on this thing. So I went and bought essentially it was not a real barrel head. It was it was from Home Depot, right? It was claimed to be a barrel head, but you could put logos on this or whatever. And I stained it, and then I built this little thing. I'm going to show you guys this. It's going to be tough for a sec. Hold on. So I built this little thing here. Let's go sideways. There. It's going to be sideways, but you can see. So a little bridge, and this is a rotisserie motor. And then I cut a little dowel to fit in between both things. Let's do that. To fit in between both things there, and just kind of keep it spinning. So it was a fun little project. Anyway, fun stuff. But the rotisserie motor. Oh yeah, there's a little wheel of ball bearings under there as well to keep things going smoothly. All right, so yeah, Bruichladdich Islay Barley. So this will be likely an unpeated. I mean, it's Bruichladdich, so it's going to be unpeated Islay whiskey. Should be a little, what do you call it? Coastal, kind of like salt and possibly some flowers, possibly some fruit in here. Let's see. It does smell a little coastal, a little salty. Maybe some... Now, so here's one of those things. You guys might be able to understand this, as you all presumably watch a lot of WhiskeyTube. You will occasionally hear somebody explain something as a note that you could smell or taste, and you can maybe picture it, but you've potentially never actually smelled it. So, for example, heather, right? Heather is a type of, I think it's flower. It's, like it's purple flowers essentially that grow in a long weed looking thing. And people have described the smell of heather so much that although I don't know that I've ever actually smelled it, I can picture what it smells like. Is that crazy? Does that make sense? I hope that makes a little bit of sense. I'm not a mechanical engineer. I'm a software engineer. But the brain is all this very similar. You find a problem, you figure it out, and you can think of ways to make it work. This was an easy one, but I mean, I didn't Google like how to build a turntable. I was just like, oh, I need a motor, rotisserie spin, and I need some way for it to spin. So, do they sell ball bearings? And I was actually happy when I searched like ball bearings. Essentially, this little thing came up. It's like a square with a circle in it that's filled with ball bearings, and it's meant to rotate. I'm like, that's exactly what I need. And then I just bought this thing, stained it, and put it all together. So it's funny though. If I were to show you the carpentry that went into this, it's so sloppy. The nails are like, I mean, the screws are sticking out and everything. Like, there was not even a reason to use screws. I should have just nailed the thing together. But anyway, all right, let's go ahead and take a sip of this. Cheers, guys. Just grab a traditional Highland Park, say 12-year-old, and you'll figure out what a heather note or Dalwhinnie 50-year-old. Let me, you're saying traditional Highland Park 12. Are you talking, I would guess that you might not be talking about the Viking Honor one. Oh, interesting. That's funny. Right on the back. I've never noticed this about this bottle. It has tasting notes, natural color, and heather honey. So, I mean, heather honey would be honey made from heather, though. That's not really going to taste like heather or smell like heather, but who knows? I don't know. I'll figure it out someday. Maybe I'll just go find a place that sells it and just buy it. I'm not beyond doing that. I've done it a few times. Actually, there was a video I put out a long time ago where I was talking about how to properly nose or taste whiskey. It was actually 2 separate videos. And with the nosing one, with the tasting one, I went out and bought a whole bunch of things that you would typically taste, specifically in bourbons in this case, just because they were easier to talk about. And most people in the U.S. just drink bourbon and then maybe get into Scotch, which is unfortunate. Hey, Patrick, thank you. I know Heather. She smells okay. Congrats on 50K, young man. Yeah, actually, every Heather I've known has smelled okay as well. But Anyway, so yeah, like I bought caramels, I bought butterscotches, I bought vanilla, I bought a bunch of other stuff. And it's a good way to do it, really. I remember actually being younger. This was actually long before I got into whiskey, but when I realized, it made me realize later on that although I'm not the best noser or taster in the YouTube space, like by far, I have always had a good nose for ingredients. And what I used to do long before whiskey was cook a lot. I still cook quite a bit, and I really, really love complicated recipes. Like we're talking things that take a few hours to do, have multiple parts that each take a while, whatever. So I have a story in a minute about beef Wellington. But anyway, I used to go to the grocery store and I would go through the produce aisle, and I remember I wasn't like a gross person who was like shoving stuff in my face, but I remember like kind of smelling different fruits that I didn't know anything about. And although the inside of those fruits are going to probably smell different, like a dragon fruit, for example, isn't going to smell the same on the outside as the inside, but I would like kind of, oh, it smells kind of good. And I would buy random stuff and I would take it home and I would do exactly that. I would taste it and I would smell it. And I would just kind of put that in my mind as something that I could use in a recipe someday. So anyway, dribs and drams. I might be in the minority here, but I hate Highland Park's bottle and label design. Seems low rent for such a great booze. You are so right. However, I actually kind of disagree that it's a great booze. So Highland Park to me is a great entry Scotch, but I feel like unless you are going to be having some of the higher end stuff, well, actually, you know what? Honestly, Highland Park gets great even at the 18, which is still a little over $100. I mean, we're not talking small change, but it kills me that they killed off the 15, and part of me is still hesitant to ever finish off this bottle. Like, look how little there is. I should really just finish this. But, I don't know. I'm not in any hurry because it's so good. I don't want to finish it. Anyway, so I also agree, though. I love the Viking theme. I just do. I love Norse mythology. I like seeing all these things. What really sold me on it was they did one about the Midgard serpent. And that was kind of a cool bottle. And it came with like this weird little stand. It was actually one of the first weird, I guess, bottles that come with something more than just the bottle that I ever saw. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. I kind of want that. And then I read up on it and I was like, oh, it's actually not that great. And it was also way expensive. I think it was like $250. Anyway, the Highland Park 15 there, I just hope I never finish it because it's just so good. But I also know I've kept it in the bottle so long. There's so little down there. It's just not going to be... It's not going to be as good in the long term. I need to just finish it, whatever. Hey, Guinea Pig, thank you. Geez, I didn't know that you were outside the U.S., Guinea. So, Guinea Pig is great. He comments on like almost every video. Congratulations and lots of love from the Netherlands. Your channel rocks. How did I not know that you were outside the U.S.? But anyway, thanks. I'm so happy to see so many of you guys in this chat. including my fellow whiskey tubers, Scott from Bourbon Journey. I've seen a couple other people here. I don't know who's still around. I try to make oh, actually, Wheels is here. I've kind of been droning on and on. I haven't been paying as much attention to the chat. Anyway. Big fan of Highland Park Valknut. Valknut? Yeah. You like the Viking theme? You were dead to me. Sorry, Go Habs. Dude, I'm like 6'3". I'm huge. I must have something in me. Some small amount of Viking, because, like, big dude, right? Yeah, you know, here you brought up Single Malt Whiskey Society. Here's an interesting thing. So I did a live stream with Jenna from Scotch Malt Whiskey Society quite a while ago, and that was a fun live stream for me. And you know, she sent me a bottle, which was, she let me pick out whatever I wanted. I believe that the Float Like a Butterfly, Sting Like a Bee. Sorry, I'm caught on a wire here. Caught on a wire from the glove. This is Float Like a Butterfly, Sting Like a Bee. It's a 12-year-old Speyside, and I like it. I tend to like Speysides. They're easy to drink for the most part for me, and I find that they usually taste, you know, kind of right up my alley. This one's good, and then as part of that whole deal, there was an affiliate program where every time somebody signed up for the Scotch Malt Whiskey Society, I got $25. And I convinced, yeah, 4 people thought it was worth their money enough to sign up. And frankly speaking, it is a cool service. So I ended up getting a $100 bottle called Flowers in a Can. Flowers in a Cake Tin. And this is another Speyside, obviously showing that I want Speysides. This is only 8 years old, but I didn't really want to spend a ton of money. It's 57% though, however. And I was drinking this one last night, actually. Yep, you were, brothers. I appreciate that. I was drinking that last night playing darts with my wife, actually, and I came to realize I didn't really like it, which sucks because, like, it's just, you know, it's something special, and everything from Scotch Malt Whiskey Society is, like, hand-selected. So when I don't like something, I assume I'm wrong. And actually, let's get into that for a minute. When I don't like something in whiskey, I've found... This is what the whole stream's going to be, by the way. I'm just going to be like going off on random tangents about whatever the heck I want to talk about. This is what my streams tend to be. Anyway, when there is a whiskey I don't like, unless it's kind of generally thought to be not very good, I take that as a challenge. So when I was drinking that last night, I know an 8-year-old Speyside is very potentially just not good. It's maybe just a little young, maybe it's just a little harsh, or maybe it just doesn't have the flavor profile that I'm looking for. But let's come to my current nemesis. 2 bottles, which I'm going to grab. There is the Springbank 13 and the Springbank 10. Now, here's the thing. I don't like either one of these yet. And the yet is important, because I'm convinced that I can. Obviously, Springbank is well-loved, and I'm a whiskey reviewer on YouTube. I should like this, and I'm going to eventually. But I have been going out of my way to drink these and just try to get past the little bit of it that I don't really love. And actually, for once, I'm going to reach out to you guys. How was your first interaction with Springbank? Did you like it? How long did it take you to kind of get into Springbank? And do you like it now? Did you ever get past that? That's what I'm curious about. Once I finish this whiskey, I'm going to pour the 13. Now, what I saw last night actually on the Discord, I forget who bought it, but somebody bought they bought a Elijah Craig Barrel Proof, and they bought a Springbank 12 cask strength. And I'm starting to think that maybe a cask strength version of Springbank would be more up my alley. If nothing else, I have learned that cask strength whiskey is my wheelhouse. That is what I love. And so what I'm hoping for is that maybe the green and the 10 here, the 13 and the 10, maybe these just aren't my jam. The 18 is finished in port, and I do tend to like things that are finished in port, so I might go to that. But that's a hell of an investment for something I might genuinely not like. So, what do you guys think about Springbank? What's your deal? I immediately loved Springbank 10 on the first taste for whatever reason. Okay. The very first Scotch I ever tried was a Springbank 15. My first interaction was Springbank 12 and I didn't care for it. And 9 months later, I had some Springbank 10 and loved it. Loved Springbank right off the start. Boy, man, it's funny to hear you guys. It's funny to hear you guys say this. Now, Shayla's asking me from Whiskey Central. She's asking me what I don't like about it, and that's a great question. So I'm going to pour both of these. I have an insane amount of glasses over here, so I'm going to pour both of these and tell you in kind of real time here. I can't believe you already guessed the damn Jack Daniels. Ugh, I should have picked something harder. Let's see. My first Springbank was the 12 cask strength 2019 release, 57.1%. I really like it, even with that funk. I haven't had any of the others yet, so I can't comment on them. I don't think it's necessarily the funk I don't like, because I've had other funky whiskeys. I'm a Springbank fanboy for 20 years. I taste a lot, even from yesteryear, and I like that the craft... Oh, sorry. I like that craft distillery means also assumed batch variations. Yes, true. My first Springbank was the... Okay, yeah, I read that one. Fell in love the first sip with the 15, but I'm an alcohol whore. I like it all. See, that's where I'm stuck. Like, when I first tried peated whiskey, I think Lafroig 10 was probably my first. Excuse me. That was also my case. I loved the I loved the Lafroig 10, and immediately I was not turned off. I was not like, oh my god, this is smoke in a bottle. I was, but I liked that. I've also never been a smoker either, so it's not like a flavor I was used to. I don't even really smoke cigars all that much. Very, very rarely, although I do like them. So, I don't know. Springbank is just my challenge, I guess. Funny thing is, you guys are going to tune in 3 years from now, and I'm going to be like on my 17th review of like Longmorn or something. So, we'll see. Hazelburn. Alrighty. So, while I'm doing this sorry if that's wicked noisy. While I'm doing this, quick reminder, anybody who super chats today is entered into one of 2 drawings for a $50 gift card to their local liquor store. So, feel free. I figured 50 was appropriate for 50,000 subscribers, so that was the idea. Thank you to those of you that have super chatted already. In the event that I don't have your email address or some way to contact you, I'll look to do it at the end of the stream, but if you have to log off, that's totally okay. You could still win. We'll figure it out. So, you know what I'll do? I'll do this. Whoever the winners are, I'll announce via like one of those YouTube stories. Sorry, not stories. Actually, yeah, I'll do a story. That's fine. I'll do a story. And I'll pick the random winner after the stream is over. I'll do a story so you guys will see that come up. And that way I don't have to do it on the stream. It won't be like super clunky and awkward to do all of that. And you guys can probably see it within like 10 minutes after the stream is over. So let's aim to do that. All right, so I've got the Springbank 10 and the Springbank 13. And you guys are about to see me attempt to like this. So. Hey, see you, Scott. Thanks. Appreciate it. Taste is so personal, Bill. No matter how popular or unpopular a whiskey or brand is, at the end of the day, it's all down to personal taste. See, I appreciate that. I kind of disagree a little bit, and let me explain myself. I do think that everybody has unique tastes. That's a given, really. Like, that's no-brainer. However, I think that tastes can be changed and improved. For example, you know, I have a 6-year-old and a 5-year-old. They're eating chicken nuggets and, you know, peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and whatever else, freaking Campbell's chicken noodle soup. Like, that's fine. But their tastes are going to change. And I'll be feeding them filet mignon someday, hopefully. Unless they're vegetarians. But hopefully not. But I can work my way into liking this. It's just going to take time. And I have talked to a lot of people about just pushing themselves with Ardbeg. or pushing themselves with other Islay whiskeys that are peated. And I feel like it would be a little hypocritical to just give up on trying to like a style of whiskey. It's not just Springbank that's from Campbelltown. I get that. But there's very, very little from Campbelltown. So Springbank is basically the one to try. Anyway, Greg, I still totally appreciate what you said. I just feel differently. And you're right, by education, totally. I also find that I tend to like things more when I learn about them. Like, if there was a channel similar to my own, I would totally watch it. I mean, obviously, this is the type of channel I chose to make because it's something that's interesting to me. However, I feel like... whatever. Anyway. All right, Shayla's saying, would be interesting to see you do a blind with Springbank in it. Yes, I think it would be very interesting as well, and I think I would probably be able to pick it up very quickly. T Squared, thank you. Thanks for helping to create and foster this great community. Thank you. Swami's laughing at me, I'm sure. It was... All right, so let's go ahead and just drink this 10. You guys have seen me hold this near my mouth like forever. All right, cheers. Trying to think about how to describe the taste that isn't my thing. And it's like the entire thing. So it's not iodine like a peated whiskey would be. I'm sure it's the funk that you guys are referring to. I'm staring at the ceiling because I'm thinking, sorry, I should make eye contact, but I'm just thinking, right? So if you... Let me try again. You're right, Swami. The ego has landed. Hey, by the way, Swami, I saw your promo for your new video, or your new channel, the 2 Wheels Down. I'll sub. I've couldn't really tell what it was going to be about, other than obviously just a motorcycle channel. But I'll sub anyway. It's fun to watch you do your thing. Hey, Bourbon Knight, thank you. Really appreciate that. Hey, is that Chad or Sarah? I have no idea, but either way, I very much appreciate the super chat. So thank you. And you just got entered into a $50 gift card giveaway. So congrats. You know, I think I need to switch to the 13 because I don't know if it's the live stream or the couple that I've already had, but it's not as bad is definitely not the right word. That is not the flavor that I remember disliking. Now, I haven't had the 10 in a while, and it's half empty, so it's very possible that has something to do with it. Hey, so Chad and Sarah, congrats. You guys beat me to 50K for sure, but your channel has always been entertaining. I enjoyed watching the Valentine's Day stream that you guys did. I watched it after the fact with Fred, but still very cool. You guys are my favorite. One of my 2 favorite couples in WhiskeyTube. I have a different appreciation for you than I do for Sam and Bobby. So either way, very much appreciate it. So, all right, let's go ahead into this 13. Now this smells much different. It's heavier for sure. So what the heck is that smell? He says loudly into a room that only he sits in. My personal favorite Springbank so far has been the long row peated. Okay. I think that sounds like I could get into that. All right, let's go ahead and just have a sip. Cheers. I swear the timing isn't just convenient. I actually think I'm starting to turn the corner on Springbank a little bit. You know what I'm going to do? Every other Wednesday, I have a group of other guys that I hang out with. Even among Corona, it's funny. I wish I could. Maybe I'll put a picture of this up on the Discord later. I moved all of my deck furniture into my garage, just on one side of my garage because, you know, my wife can't lose her spot. But I also moved a propane like fire pit into that side of the garage too. And we just leave the garage door open, and there's 4 of us that hang out. We all sit in different corners of the table and just hang out. Now, a couple weeks ago, I had them over, and I took them on a little bit of a whiskey tour among the shelves behind me. And I told this story last week, but whatever, some of you guys are new. So I let them pick out a couple of bottles, and then I picked a Port Charlotte 10 for us all to share. And what I think I'm going to do is I think I'm going to introduce them to these guys and just see what their opinion is. Sometimes I actually get a little inspired from other people as well, who have very little experience with whiskey, because they'll just say something totally random about the way it tastes, which just triggers me a little bit, and in a good way. And it just makes me think like, oh yeah, totally, of course. So anyway, Dribs and Drams, thoughts on environment when tasting. I review outside. Last one was in a blizzard. Right now, everything seems fresh and light due to cold. I have an opinion. I don't know how correct it is. Of course, you're in Canada, so I hope that you're not in that like negative 50 that I was seeing the other day. But what I think is when you drink in super cold weather, most things are dulled. And that could be good or bad. What it does tend to do is, so here's a perfect example. The Johnny Walker White Walker. That one, on the bottle specifically, it said best served cold. So when I did my review of it, I stuck it in the freezer. And I stuck it in the freezer for like 2 days. And it was super cold. And when I tasted it, I didn't hate it. Everybody else hated it. So maybe I'm alone here. And looking back on it, certainly didn't like it. But it wasn't just the abysmal piece of trash that everybody else kind of thinks it was until it warmed up. In which case, I'm totally with everybody else. But when it was almost, obviously it's not going to freeze, but when it was almost frozen, it tasted a little bit of cherry, and that was about it. It was lighter, and it was okay to drink, and it tasted a little cherry. But it was also junk. So cold will make any whiskey taste more palatable because it will dull everything about it, the nose and the taste. But when you bring things to neutral, it's super easy to drink. So it's a really good way to get past something like these Springbanks where you are having trouble. Now, I have not dipped to putting an ice cube in either one of these yet because I just don't think I should. It's not going to help me per se, but I do think that over time I might try it just to see if it changes the flavor a little bit. Now, actually, speaking of changing the flavor, let's go ahead and add a couple drops of water to the 13. I'm not going to do it to the 10 because the 10 actually wasn't as bad as I kind of expected. This is interesting, actually. For one of the first times ever, you know how when you drop water in, you know, the chemistry here is that everything kind of, congeal's not the right word. Everything gathers at the top. All the oils and everything, they kind of just bring themselves to the top. The whole point is that when you add water, it brings things to the top. You can smell it and taste it immediately a little better. It also obviously dilutes the proof, but 3 drops isn't going to do a heck of a lot. So it does smell a little different. I do tend to use whiskey stones instead of ice if my intent is to chill rather than dilute. Hey, what's up, Will? Appreciate it. Shayla, you nailed it. She says, super chilled, red fruit and not bad. Non-chilled, cat piss. Totally. You absolutely nailed it. Shayla, I'm so happy to see the way that your channel has grown. It's awesome. I actually really enjoy watching your stuff. I don't comment a lot, but I watch most of your videos. That's interesting, actually. With the second taste there, I'm getting a little bit more lemon and a little bit... what is that? It's reminding me of a fruit of some sort, specifically like here in my neck. It's sweeter than I'm expecting. It's almost no, it's not. It's not like a cranberry, but it's like a tart fruit of some sort. Natural blah blah blah. No, I have no idea. I gotta get around to reviewing this thing and spending time with it. When you guys watch this review, it'll probably be about half the bottle because I'm gonna really have to spend some time with this. There's a lot of bottles I review, and I get the notes real fast. This is not gonna be one of them. Appreciate that, Shayla. So Taylor, thank you for the super chat. Great content. Enjoy the informative videos that you put up, as well as Eric Waite. I completely agree. Eric Waite is a really smart guy. Him and I have been friends for a long time. Actually, it's funny, when I put up this stream and I set it for 12 o'clock, he actually texted me like immediately and was just like, "Hey, did you know you put up your stream for 12 o'clock? Like, I just want to make sure you didn't make a mistake." Because it's not the first time I've done that. So he's always watching out for me. Eric is a really good dude, and I hope he sees this stream. Anybody who's not subbed to him should really at least go check out his channel, see if it's your thing. The way he's been doing shorts lately is just awesome. Although I have a little bone to pick with him that he's taken all the good topics and just cranking out videos about them, but that's all right. I hope it does well for him. I'm definitely preferring the 13 over the 10. So, let's see. Ralph, I found a chilled glass. Oh, says I'm getting a lower bitrate than expected. Hopefully the quality's all right. Yeah, Eric's videos are great. Oh, that's weird. Hold on. I gotta check something real quick. No, it doesn't say so. I just got the weirdest bourbon note when I smelled this. Specifically caramel. But more like a caramel sauce that you would drizzle, like not. I mean, I guess it's kind of the same stuff, but it's almost like a warm caramel. Yeah, no, Steve, you're totally right, and that's exactly. Rather than I'm not like taking his ideas, but like I've been writing videos, literally been writing a video, seen the alert go off because I have the little notification bell for him go, and then I'll see him say like, "Oh, this video, right?" What did he do the other day? He did something where it was like, he was talking about some Scotch region, and I was literally writing a video about it. And I was just like, shoot, now I gotta wait like at least a couple months. Otherwise, I'll personally feel like I'm just ripping Eric off. I shouldn't feel that way, but I do. So, I have a fun top 5 video coming out real soon. I'm gonna be doing, holy crap. All right, never mind. I'm picking this one right off. Distracting myself. I don't want to give away the secret. Got a really funny top 5 coming up really soon. All right, of these two, I'm starting to come around a little bit. It's fine. I don't know. I don't know what else. I don't know what else to say. I just need to kind of do my video on the 13. But I'm gonna put these away for the moment. And I just spotted this Ardbeg Black Committee release, which I have wanted to have forever. I realize that picking off the wheel is like sacrilege, but I rarely do it. I think this is the second time ever, and I'm just going to do it. So I'm going to put these to the side, have them later. Really, maybe actually exposing to air will change them a little bit too. I use that one. Too many glasses. All right, so this is the Ardbeg Black. This was from Mark. Actually, I think, did I see Mark in the channel? I think I might have. Hold on. Mark. Yes, Mark is here. Awesome. So, Mark, this is the Ardbeg Black that you sent me. This is the Committee 20th Anniversary Limited Edition. And this is very kind of perfect that I spotted this. It's my wheel, my rules. I'm only going to pour half of this because I do obviously feel the whiskey kind of setting in. All I had was, what did I even have for breakfast? Did I have breakfast? I have no idea. What did I have for breakfast? Oh, I had a bagel. So it was fine, but not enough considering it's afternoon. All right, so this is the Ardbeg Black Committee release. I have wanted to try this forever. But what I want to do, while I'm going to let this one kind of just sit in the air for a moment, is talk about a news story I saw this week about Ardbeg at auction. So there was this interesting article that Whiskey Advocate put up, and it talked about the top 20 kind of highest priced Ardbeg committee releases specifically that sold at auction, and I thought that was kind of interesting. Hold on one second. Crazy how that all worked out. We did ours because of you guys are talking about the cork. Yeah, that was so weird that we like three channels did cork videos all in the same week. Anyway, so Ardbeg did this thing where Whiskey Advocate was talking about the Ardbeg committee releases and what they sold for at auction. And I thought it was very interesting because although the committee releases are known to be a little bit different than the general releases, it's kind of indicative of the collector mentality that goes with whiskey. Because when you're talking about flavor of a whiskey, yes, there will be some committee releases that are a little bit more different than others, but I've had a few, and they are pretty close. So this to me is very much about the collector environment, the collector populace. So let's talk about this. So there was a list of 20. I'm just going to go over the top 5. Pretty interesting. So forgive the images, I grabbed them last minute. They're a little fuzzy. So number 5 was the Ardbeg Supernova Advanced Committee release. This sold at $1,226, which, if the committee releases are following normal practices, I would imagine that they're all under $200 when they originally come out. I think they're actually far less than that normally. Usually, at least in my area, the last few have been around the $100 to $130 range. But let's just say $200. So the Ardbeg Supernova Advanced Committee release. Then there was number 4, which was the Ardbeg Young Ugadale, called the Oogling, Committee Reserve at $1,436. Then there was the Ardbeg 21-year-old Committee Exclusive at 2001 at $1,803. Now that one makes a little bit more sense. I mean, we're talking 10 years old at this point. And I don't know. I mean, $1,800 for something exclusive, limited, and 10 years old? I wouldn't pay it, but I could see why it would fetch that much money. All right, let's see. Number 2, the Ardbeg Kildalton at 1980. This sold for $1,971, which, do any of you guys, actually, here's a question before I go over the top one, which oddly enough, I totally guessed as soon as I saw the article headline. I said, I bet it's going to be this one. How many of you guys have ever bought committee releases? Just curious. Say Dick in the chat if you have. All right. The number 1 choice here is the Ardbeg Alligator Exclusive. Now, this sold for an insane $4,330. I mean, we're approaching Pappy Van Winkle prices here, which is equally stupid. Now the alligator was the no, I would have thought Dark Cove too personally, but whatever. So the alligator was the one I guessed, and here's the reason why. It's an intriguing name. I would have been equally less surprised if Kelpie was the one that got it, because Kelpie, obviously, it has a good reputation. Alligator has a fantastic reputation, but that's after the fact. I think it has to do with the name. And when you're thinking about collectors, so a lot of you guys will know, obviously, with the Power Glove, video games have been a huge part of my life. And collecting video games was my hobby prior to the Whiskey channel. So when I think about the way the video game market went insane after 2008, because everybody, I'm gonna wax philosophic here again, because I see very much a parallel between whiskey and video games. In 2008, when the market crashed, you saw this emergence of retro video gaming. There's 2 reasons for this. Number 1 is the psychology behind people feeling comfortable with a thing that made them happy as a kid. When you are an adult and the world is collapsing behind all around you, you are going to revert back to something that made you feel comfortable. And for a lot of people, that is going to be video games. Thus, people started looking up retro games and buying them. And then all of a sudden there were a couple of news stories that were talking about people selling their Nintendo Entertainment System for insane amount of money, or specifically this game called Stadium Events for about $15K. And that game was not very rare, honestly. It was a piece of junk game. But it was one of the last games released, so people didn't have a ton of them, and specifically sealed versions were super hard to come by. This is all going back to Whisky, I promise. When this all happened, I got into video game collecting, and I bought a ton of video games. Like, I've got thousands of video games. But this reminds me of the way that whiskey goes. As I've seen this whole whiskey boom happen, there have been a few things that have gone on. Number one is a bunch of distilleries have opened up. I can equate that to the boom of craft beers, but I won't go on that tangent at the moment because I'm currently on a different tangent. Because of that, you're also getting a bunch of people who are realizing that old things can be expensive. Now, people have known about antiques forever, but antiques are 100 years old. You're talking about things that, like, let me buy this whiskey because it's old. And old things are worth money. I can see that in all of these different random things, including the video game market, that old things are worth a lot of money, especially if you can put a good story behind it. Now you're seeing distilleries coming up with awesome stories that may or may not be true. You're seeing really old whiskeys, whether they're good or not, fetching an incredible price that you didn't really see prior to the whiskey boom. Things that were old, of course, would always would be more expensive, but when you look at the secondary market and how much they're putting higher prices on things, I hope I'm making as much sense in my own head as I think I am. Out loud as I am in my own head. What I see is a direct correlation between people taking things that are old that aren't actually worth anything or a whole lot of money and kind of going with all of these other hobbies that have older things. I'm not making as much sense as I think I am. There is an equating factor there that I'm having a really hard time describing, but it's been very obvious to me as I'm watching the whiskey industry, not the new stuff, but the old stuff being sold for a stupid amount of money. Not to mention, I know where I was going with that. When you have the news covering things like those video games being sold for a stupid amount and people selling their whole collections for $1 million, when you see the news media get a hold of any hobby, everything sucks for that hobby. That is what happened to Buffalo Trace. When you started seeing people going for Pappy Van Winkle, obviously for crazy amount of money, that was because the media brought in all of, we call them taters, right? They brought in the general populace into a hobby that we've all been enjoying. And when you get a whole bunch of people, there's obviously less stock of everything that we're enjoying. And they buy things like Weller for hundreds of dollars. I don't know, whatever. Sorry, that was... I went off a little bit there. All right, people pay to have something unique. You're right, but I don't know. I think it's newer, just a lot of older distillate is just better tasting. See, I hear that a lot. It's sad, but it's unquestionably true. I hear that a lot, and I've had the ability to have some older stuff that has an equal version, like even Johnny Walker Red. Like, I rip on Johnny Walker Red all the time. People have told me that some of the older Johnny Walker Reds didn't taste so bad. I had an opportunity to try one that was from the mid-'80s, somewhere in there, mostly because somebody had an unopened bottle just sitting in their basement forever. Now, maybe it wasn't stored right, but when I tried it, it was still junk. It was better, but it was still junk. So, I don't know. Like, maybe you're right. I don't have enough evidence to say yes or no. I'll take your word for it, because it does seem to be the general opinion. But I don't really know. Okay, that was... Geez, I just slipped right into that. Okay, that's really good. So this is the Ardbeg Black edition, the committee release. Did I put it? Where did I put it? Oh, here it is. So Ardbeg Black committee release, 20th anniversary. This has a really interesting charcoal flavor in the back of my throat. That 60s and 70s distillate is highly sought after for taste. Similarly, the wood from that era was better. That's interesting. I wonder if there's a good reason for that. I might have to dig into that to see if there's a reason why wood from that era would be better than today. Possibly, I wonder if it was less mass-produced. Think about the way like cooperages must all have their own tree farms. And if you are like any other industry right now where you are dialing in the performance of everything that you are investing in to the fastest, most efficient way to do things, I wonder if a tree that is, let's say genetically modified to grow faster is somehow less effective as a barrel stave than something that grew naturally. That's an interesting question. I don't know. Older, bigger trees, sure, but yeah, interesting. I might have to dig into that a little bit. All right, so tasting this, this is a very easy whiskey to drink for sure. I'm loving the smoke note in here. It's different than most of the other Ardbegs, actually. It's you know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of charcoal that has been kind of left, right? It's not hot enough to cook with anymore. And it's got just a little bit of a smoky hint to it. That's what that reminds me of, but it's specifically in the taste, not in the nose. I got FOMO once, but only because I was afraid of missing out. That's pretty funny. All right, so I don't know how long I'm planning on going. I'll probably go for a little bit longer, but just a quick reminder to everybody, if you super chat, you're entered into a drawing for a couple of $50 gift cards. So, the committee release here, I'm sad. I have never actually bought a Ardbeg Black. I probably should. Hard to find. I had an opportunity once. I passed it up. I'm such a cheap mother effer. I never buy stuff. I see things that I want and I don't buy them. And that was actually my goal for 2021, was to buy things that I actually wanted. That's what led me to buying this Springbank 13. This was on the shelf at Julio's Liquors in Westboro, Massachusetts for a long time. And I heard a lot of people telling me to buy it. Every time I would take a random snapshot of the store when I was there, just be like, oh, I'm buying some whiskey. They'd be like, holy crap, is that Springbank 13? You have to buy that now. And I just never did. And that is a bit of a regret. I'm doing this whole channel as a way to experience new things, and I'm not letting myself get new things because I'm worried about being cheap. And not spending a whole lot of money. So, hey, Heisenberg, thank you. I remember the neck pour off my first Ardbeg 10 tasted like licking an ashtray. Some may like that, but that sure isn't my taste. Thankfully, the ashiness diminished over time. I will completely agree. It absolutely does diminish over time. Ardbeg 10 is one of my favorite whiskeys, completely. And the Port Charlotte 10 has kind of just barely... Give me one. Sorry. Has just kind of... Maybe Port Charlotte is overtaking Ardbeg 10 as my favorite peated whiskey for introducing people to. It's just got such an amazing flavor, but we'll see. Mark, thank you very much for sending that along. I have been wanting to taste that for so long. All right, let's go ahead and pick another one off of the table. I'm going to drink some water, though. Hey, Highland Hamish. Thanks for joining. All right. I'm going to put the glove back on to choose a whiskey from the table. Whoops. I forgot how hard it is to use this mouse with the glove on. Here is the wheel. Boom. This guy. Ooh, all right. Let's go back to this one. All right. So this is the Glenfarclas 10-year, 40%. This will be an interesting one to just kind of ease into. Maybe I'll talk a little bit, since we've been pulling a lot of scotches off here. By the way, most of these samples came from Matt from the Whiskey Crusaders, so definitely have to thank him here. I'm going to pull out my favorite Glencairn. This is a Glencairn that's been dipped in Maker's Mark wax and is ironically a Lefroy glass. So I love this cup. I love this glass. Every time I bring it out on a stream, people love it. It's a fun one. All right, so I'm going to talk about another news story that I saw. This is, well, it's more me talking about my opinion on this, which could be totally wrong. So Scotch tariffs again. So here's the facts, right? So there was a 25% tariff introduced back in 2019. I'm sure we all remember that on Scotch whiskey. It's resulted, now I was surprised to see this, it's resulted in 35% decline in exports of Scotch to the US. Now, last month, the US and the UK met to discuss this tariff. And things were looking promising until they weren't. And basically no change has happened. So we're still seeing a ton of taxes imposed on Scotch whiskey coming into the US. Here's my idea. Although universally, I think we could probably all agree this is a bad thing for the whiskey industry. I think it's a good thing for the brands that don't suffer too hard from how much money they're losing. The US consumes a ton of whiskey, but we are not, like by far, the highest Scotch imbibers in the world. So the Scotch whiskey industry is going to do just fine, at least as long as this isn't a permanent thing. What I think we're going to see, because of just the nature of whiskey and aging and all of that stuff, I think the Scotch industry is going to complain about the income that they're getting, but I don't think a whole lot is going to change about what they're doing in their warehouses and in their, when they're distilling their whiskey. I think they're making just as much stuff, and I think what will happen is eventually these tariffs will go away. I'm pretty convinced of that. When they do, I think we're going to see some really, really good whiskeys coming out, and potentially we're going to see new age statements that we don't often see, because they're either going to have a huge stock that they're looking to unload, or we're going to see generally older stuff that there's more of. I don't know that the prices are going to drop too much, because they're going to have to recoup that cost somehow. But I do think that we are going to have an easier time finding things that are older, especially in the 18-year range. That's where I think we're going to see. That will probably still be a few years away, however. So when you look at Scotch sales, you see that 12-year-olds do really, really well because they're things that people just randomly pick up. But you also will see that 18-year-olds sell extremely well because that's where people take that next step. I think there will be an abundance of 12 and 18-year-old Scotch. The 12 is never too hard to find. Sometimes the 18 is, and I think that will stop. Hopefully. That's all conjecture based off what I have come to learn about this industry. So, I don't know. I'm curious what you guys will think about that. The U.S. was the largest buyer of Scotch dollars by volume. Really? Is that true? I mean, I'll believe you if you tell me that's true, but I'm surprised to hear that. Only because they're like, I think it was either last week or the week before. The U.S. is not the highest consumer of alcohol, of specifically whiskey, of any country. Like we're like number 5 or 6. So that's surprised to hear. Hey, Whiskey Brazil, thank you. Appreciate that. How large is your channel at this point? I actually haven't looked in a while. Yep. Hey, Taylor, I take it you have watched my one of my most recent trivia videos. Let's see. The U.S. U.S. was $1.3 billion in 2019. We spend way more per bottle. Oh, okay. All right. Now that's an interesting point. We spend more money, but we don't necessarily drink as much. Which I guess is more what I'm getting at, is the volume that's available, not necessarily the amount that we spent. Oh, this is really good. The Glenfarclas 10. I might have to buy this bottle. This hits a lot of good notes for me. There is kind of an oaky quality to this, but more so there's how do I want to say this? As one could imagine, my palate's pretty fried at this point, so it's hard to pick out anything. Not that I normally have an easy time of it, but still. Just saw an Ardbeg Supernova pop up on a site I use for $5.99 Canadian. I've had the Supernova. It's really good. I don't know that I would spend $600 on it, but you just heard me rant for about a couple minutes about how cheap I am. So I don't know. I'm not a good judge, but I'd be curious what the rest of the people in chat have to say. So Grant asks if the Ardbeg Black is different than the one I've had in the store. I haven't had the non-committee release, but to your question of did I enjoy it? Very much. I would love to get a bottle of that, and I will look to actually buy a bottle of that at this point. You're at 133K. Damn, man. 128 on Instagram? You are not a good-looking guy. You must feature a lot of bottles. I'm just joking. You're still not a very good-looking guy, but you know I'm kidding with you. That's coming from me, right? Congratulations on the 50K. Cannot even imagine having that many. Well, new dram drinker, if that many actually watched my videos, it would be much more impressive. That was actually something I wanted to get to quite a while ago, is although I'm appreciative of how many people subscribe to me because of the Conor McGregor video, boy, did that throw off any analysis I could possibly do of my analytics. YouTube has this amazing 26 on Clubhouse. I'm glad to hear you're actually trying that out, Whiskey Brazil. I've been interested to try that out myself. The Conor McGregor video was amazing for this channel in that it grew me huge. I got like 16,000 subscribers in a month, something like that, which is obviously way more than I normally... Actually, that's about twice as much as I get in a year, typically. That was amazing. Except none of those people watch my videos anymore. So as far as YouTube is concerned, my channel sucks. And that has killed my recommendations. And that much is evident by the analytics. There's like no question about it. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. It was great. And it made a great month of YouTube ad revenue, but it sucked over time. So, oh well. I think that the... No, I know you don't post pictures of your face. I was just kind of playing with you. I wonder if the guys from the Whiskey Vault have the same problem, because they got a ton of subscribers from their video that they did on PewDiePie's, like, whatever. I think it was like what PewDiePie got wrong about Japanese whiskey, or whatever that video was that just made them explode. And they deserve their subscribers, don't get me wrong. I actually really like the Whiskey Vault guys. Like, I know that for a while there were some people that were kind of against them, whatever, but like, I've met them a few times. They are nothing but nice. All right, for what it's worth, they are every bit as fun and enjoyable as they are in person, as they seem on video. So anyway, I wonder if they have a very similar situation, because their videos do really well too, but they've got probably close to 300,000 subscribers at this point, maybe 250, and they do really well. But their video views are probably a slightly higher percent than mine are, but similar. You know, they have a way more subscribers than they ever do views. So, I can see a lot of smaller channel owners in the chat. Why don't they pop up in YouTube? Yeah, exactly, guinea pig. So that's a YouTube thing. When you have a channel, so this is something you should all be aware of, honestly, because you might not know this. When you subscribe to a channel, let's say that you subscribe to 100 channels, which I think most of us probably aren't quite that high, but, you know, even 50, right? If you subscribe to 100 channels, in your subscription feed, you're probably going to see like 60 of them. Maybe. And that's because YouTube needs to save money, right? They're not going to show you channels that you don't watch very often, even in your subscriptions, which sucks, right? Like, that's exactly why you subscribe to people. You want to see whatever they put out new. So, excuse me, two things can affect that. One is the creator not uploading. If I didn't upload for like 2 months and I finally uploaded something, maybe you would see it, or maybe you wouldn't. It depends on if you ever went back and rewatched anything, being like, hey, where'd Bill go? And you like go back and rewatch one of my channels. At that point, YouTube knows, hey, this person's looking for the subscriber to post something. If they ever post something, I should put it out there. If you don't, then you might never see me in your feed. And that is something that also sucks. If I don't get in front of people's eyes, I can't possibly be clicked on. So that, I don't know. YouTube kind of drives me crazy. Like, it's an amazing platform. It truly is a very cool thing. But some of the choices that they make really suck for creators. They're great for viewers. They suck for creators. And that's where the dichotomy comes in. Because I depend on you guys for the ad revenue and for the ego boost, if you want to think of it that way, of getting views. And YouTube depends on you guys to watch the commercials that happen before every video or during videos. And that's about it. They don't care about the creators so much, other than that we produce stuff for their channel. But there's a billion creators out there. Like, no matter what they do to us, somebody's always going to be making stuff. But people like myself who put stuff out every week, or like pretty much every other whiskey reviewer who are putting out 1 or 2 videos every week, we are doing it for the Patreons, or patrons, I should say. We're not doing it necessarily for the ad revenue. We're making very little on the ad revenue. But anyway, Spencer, you were one of the first YouTube whiskey channels I subbed to. Cheers to continued content and success. Wow, that's really awesome. Thanks, Spencer. That's really cool, actually. Thank you. Holy crap, celebrity in the house. Dragon Army Books. You should start a second channel about YouTube algorithms and helping YouTubers grow their channels. I've thought about it. It's such an oversaturated thing, but I do think if I concentrated on small channels and how to get them like to their first 1,000 subscribers, I actually probably would have a lot to contribute. Dragon Army Books. So he is this guy, Dustin, from a podcast called New Game Plus. One of my oldest patrons, but also somebody who started right around the time that I started my channel. It's interesting. We've hung out in person down in Austin, actually. That's not true. I'm sorry. Dustin was the only person not there, actually. There's 3 people on the podcast. I've hung out with the other 2. I've never actually met Dustin. Either way, their podcast is great. If you like video games, New Game Plus podcast, it's awesome. I actually listened to you guys while I was researching stuff for the video that I'm filming right now. I really liked that Nancy Drew episode. That was ridiculous. And Kenny's the worst. So, great info, Bill. For us smaller channels, it's hard to get your videos noticed. Yeah, for sure, New Dram. Is Old Forester's 100 any good? I didn't like it, Rye, but when I put up that video, people disagreed pretty hard with me. I don't know. I saw it as a good mixer for different cocktails. That was it. People disagreed. But my opinion is it's not worth it. Get the 86. The 86 is fine. It's cheaper. Or go for something more interesting. Really, there's like 1,000 different versions of Old Forester. Just get one of those. You hit 1,000 subs? Wow. Hell yeah, Dragon Army. I'm really impressed. Good job. All right, so anybody who may have tuned in late, at the beginning of the stream, I did this as a mystery dram. I really freaking love these Black Glencairns. I bought 4 of them. Got the rest over the shoulder right here. And I'm going to use those on some blind tasting live streams in the future. It just seems appropriate to not be able to see the color or really get anything from the actual whiskey other than the nose and the taste. I am not in a position to be tasting or nosing any nuances at the moment. However, I poured some Jack Daniel's Old No. 7 in here because I thought it'd be kind of fun to pay an homage to my very first video. And Spencer guessed it, and is going to be getting a whole bunch of stuff. So anyway, I'm going to drink this, and maybe when this one's done, we'll see where we're at. But anyway. Ah, yes, Jack Daniel's. Smells like candy. Anyway, I'm not going to go into nosing and tasting of Jack Daniel's. None of you guys need that. We've all had it. But I will drink it because it's there. First, I'll drink some water. I'm trying to think if there was anything else in particular I wanted to get to here. As this live stream is quickly falling off the rails as I'm drinking way too much. Whiskey Dictionary, any recommendation for the next... All right, let's do this. Do you guys have any Q&A about things that I might have learned or experienced over the last 6 years. I think that will be very easy for me to just talk about. So Whiskey Dictionary, any recommendation for the next peaty whiskey for a newcomer after Lafroig 10? I loved it and was thinking of Kalila 12, Compass Box Peat Monster, or Ardbeg 10. That is a great question, and I'm having trouble at the moment. Yeah, T Squared beat me to it. Port Charlotte 10 has quickly become one of my favorite peated whiskeys. It is so good. However, if I were to try any of the peated whiskeys that I've had so far, I would skip Bowmore altogether. Kalila 12 is fantastic. Compass Box Peat Monster is okay. Ardbeg 10 is fantastic. Port Charlotte is fantastic. What else? I guess that would be it. I would probably go in this order. If you want to get the Peat Monster, it's fine. Like, I'm underselling it here. It's honestly, it's pretty good. But you could do, like, I don't know your 20 hours? No way. You're a maniac, Scotch Down Under. I also drink way too heavily. I watch your streams, you like barely ever drink. Which is the right way to do it if you're going to go so many hours. Anyway, peated whiskeys. In the order of what I just kind of expressed, I think I would probably start with, if you want to buy it, the Peat Monster, the Ardbeg 10, the Kalila 12, the Port Charlotte 10. I think that's the order I would go, and what I suggest you buy. Do you think your opinion has drastically changed on any of the bottles you reviewed in the first year or two of your channel? That is a great question. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to answer that question in real time here, because I love that question. I've actually been wanting to make a video about exactly that for so long. This is on purpose. Let me switch to something here. This. All right. Let's go to, don't worry about all of this random stuff. I'm going to go back to my first videos that I did. I've been wanting to do a video called, like, you know, top 5 whiskeys I've changed my opinion about, or something like that. And this is a great opportunity to talk about exactly that. Just like at work, anytime you're trying to show anybody anything on your on a website, it's going to be extremely slow. Oh my gosh, I'm still at 2020. I put out a lot of friggin' videos. Holy crap. Can I go to the end? I should be able to go to the end. I can't go to the end. That's the worst. Man, I've been doing this channel for a long time. Well, some of you guys that never use YouTube Creator Studio, you're getting a little behind the scenes here. I guess I could have sorted. You know what? That's what I'll do. Stop. Let's do this. I'm going to go to content. I'm going to sort by date ascending. All right, my very first video, Jack Daniels here. All right, let me make this huge so you guys can see. All right, Jack Daniels and old number 7. I thought that was all right. I think that old number 7 is still totally something worth stocking. You know what I'm going to do? Hold on, you guys. This will be a little tough. Oh, shoot. Did I never hit? Sorry, I think I never hit. There we go. Sorry about that. All right, let's go ahead and add a video. Capture device, existing, cam link. Okay, there I am. I'm going to make myself small down in the corner. Cool. All right, now we're good. Now you guys can see me staring at my screen. All right, so Jack Daniels, I believe I gave a stock at 2, and I still believe that. I think Jack Daniels Old Number 7 will always have a place on everybody's shelf. I really think that you're probably a little bit too... I think everybody should have Old Number 7 in their bar, because you never know who you're going to have at your house, and not everybody's a whiskey drinker. But Old Number 7 is generally approachable to everybody, including Gentleman Jack. Same with Jameson. I wouldn't change my opinion about any of that. Woodford Reserve makes sense for it to be my third video, because I still totally believe that is an awesome recommendation. Macallan Sherry Oak Cask, I haven't gone back to. I remember it being pretty okay. 40 Creek Premium Barrel Select, as far as Canadian whiskeys go, I think there's probably better choices, but 40 Creek is pretty solid. Probably wouldn't change anything there. Single Barrel Select. Really? I did a Jack Daniel's Single Barrel Select. Wait. Is that the one with, that video is 2.5 minutes long? Holy crap. Wait, Single Barrel Select. Is that... No, that's not Sinatra Select. Weird. What is that? Yeah, just regular... Hold on. That was my 4th video? I don't believe that for a second. Holy crap. I guess I did. Weird. I would never have thought I did that for my 4th video. Huh. This is going to be the part of the stream where I just think back on history about 2015 and think about how long ago that was. That's so bizarre. Okay, whatever. Anyway, Bullet. Went into Bullet. I think Bullet is useful to get people into whiskey. I wouldn't give it to anybody who's got really any experience with bourbon. I didn't like the 10-year. People have told me that they disagree with that. I still disagree with them. I think the 10-year was junk. The rye was good. Craigellachie 13 was pretty good. I don't know what I gave that. I probably gave it a try it, just thinking about the way it tastes. Which is funny, because even 5 years later, I have no real... Or 6 years. Geez, almost 6 years later. I don't have much trouble recalling what that tasted like. And I liked it. It was pretty good. Double oaked, underrated, completely underrated bourbon. I think everybody should try the double oaked. Woodford Reserve Rye, also fantastic rye. Whiskey glasses. Sinatra Select. I probably wouldn't recommend anybody get the Sinatra Select because it's overpriced. It's good, but it's overpriced. Yamazaki 12, fantastic whiskey, overpriced. Highland Park 18, amazing whiskey, overpriced, but still very good. Peat Monster. That's actually funny that was so early on. I've always really enjoyed, actually, so I'm going to rant for a minute here. I've always really liked doing extra stuff at the beginning of my videos. I could tell by my analytics that some people who just want to get into learning about a whiskey, which are probably people who are just trying to find my channel and being like, oh, what about Peat Monster? And see my channel and all of a sudden see some weird little monster running around my house. But it's fun for me. And I really enjoy it. And those of you that actually subscribe for a long time probably enjoy it too. At least I hope so. All right, let's get back into this. So Compass Box, Peat Monster, I don't know. I think there's better peated whiskeys out there. I would probably skip that one. Buffalo Trace, amazing at in the day, completely overpriced now if you can even find it. Booker's, I could get into Booker's for a while. Booker's is good. Booker's really is good. And they're more hit than they are miss. But for the price difference, if you're looking to go for a higher price whiskey and you are trying Booker's as your first attempt, the chances of it not being great are too high, in my opinion. But anyway, Red Label, no, I have not changed my opinion. I still think it's utter garbage. In fact, I think it's probably a detriment to whiskey because I think it probably drives more people away from whiskey than it does otherwise. Glenmorangie 12-year. I don't know what it costs nowadays. I'm not watching the chat at the moment, so it's tough. I hope nobody's saying anything, but I'd be curious to know what Glenmorangie 12 actually costs nowadays. At the time that I made this video, it was something I was recommending to a lot of people because I think it's just fantastic for the very, very small price. Black Label, really, really good stuff. Awesome entry into Scotch whiskey, blended. Another Booker's. What is chill filtering? Let's see. Amador, meh. I've never thought about it, really. Maker's Mark, a lot of people don't love Maker's Mark once they really get into whiskey. I disagree. I think Maker's Mark is a great whiskey for what it is. For the price and for the amount of times that... Like, if you're at a bar, you're going to order a Maker's Mark. You're gonna get your cocktail made with a Maker's Mark. You might have it neat. Most bars don't have much above a Maker's Mark as far as quality goes, so it's a really good one to just have. And I will forever defend Maker's Mark when a lot of people kind of crap on them. But that's me. What I do want to try is the Maker's Mark Full Proof, or batch strength, or whatever, cast strength, whatever they call it. Their higher proof version of Maker's Mark. That I do want to try, and I see it often, and I never pick it up. And I really probably should. All right, let's go more. Maker's Mark 46, fantastic whiskey. I have some really good memories personally about that, but I liked it even before that. Oak Cross. Now, this is another good one. If you've never had the Oak Cross, this is a great one to try. You should go buy this now because it's being discontinued soon. At least somebody told me that. Definitive Beginner Bourbon Buying Guide. Boy, did this video do awesome for me. 280,000 views. 96.5% liked. That's incredible. I'm so happy I made that video. Funny thing is, when I rewatch that video, I'm like, boy, is this low quality. But you don't need the quality. You need the content. Crown Royal. At the time, I probably said it was worth buying. Now I don't feel so much so. Some Patreon content. How many calories are in your whiskey? This was an interesting, and actually just last night I was talking about this with my wife, because she had said, hey, what is like the least caloric alcohol that we could drink? And she was like, is gin less caloric? I said, I don't think it's much less caloric than whiskey, but she doesn't like whiskey and she does like gin. So I was like, we could drink that instead of drinking wine or whatever else, or beers. So I don't know. It matters to think about how many calories are in your whiskey if you're trying to lose weight. Black Velvet, it's junk. Crown Royal Black, that was pretty good actually. Crown Royal Northern Harvest Rye. At the time, I said that was fantastic. I haven't had it in a lot of years. I don't know if it's still really good. If any of you in the chat have had that recently, I would love to hear your opinions about it, and I'll go check out the chat in a minute. Eagle Rare, fantastic. At the time I had it, it was super easy to find. I don't know that it's worth the search anymore, but it was very good. But I haven't had it in a long time. That's me and my dad. We are looking more and more alike the older I get. It's kind of funny. Four Roses Bourbon. This one I definitely changed my mind about. I said the yellow label was probably worth getting. I disagree. I don't think that it's worth it anymore, when knowing that the small batch is so much better for only a small amount more. To that, here's the small batch. Very, very good. Four Roses Single Barrel, forever fantastic. You guys don't need to be convinced of that. The Scotch Guide, equally awesome video. Speyburn 10, I still am convinced that's a good starter Scotch. Speyburn Braden Auroch, not very good. Wild Turkey 101, I've spoken well about so many times. I love that whiskey. And I'm getting into 2017, so I'm almost at the end of your question here. Monkey Shoulder, I have been planning a video about better starter blended scotches than Monkey Shoulder forever. I've had it written for a while, but I keep refining it. I'll do that eventually. Double Black, I don't love. Whistle Pig, junk. At least this one. When I found out they were sourced, I kind of fell out of love with Whistle Pig. I liked them in concept, but just not a huge fan of them. Booker's Oban 14, still fantastic. And then Ardbeg. So I kind of started getting into a little bit more stuff there. So let's go back here. I am way behind on the chat. All right. Okay. Makers really knows how to do single barrel store select releases. That tends to be their specialty. You would be hard pressed to find a bad one. That's an interesting concept. So here's a question for all of you while we're chatting. What, if anything, would you like to see? Like, if I were to work together with any distillery in the US, let's just set expectations here. What would be a fun barrel pick for me to do? And would it be something that you'd be interested in buying yourself? Obviously, I'd have to describe it. It'd have to be up your alley. But, like, just generally, would you support if I were to do a single barrel pick? Call it like 300 bottles or 250 bottles, somewhere in there. And who would you want it to be with? Because I've thought about doing it a lot of times. The YouTube community last year at the Bastards Ball, or I guess 2 years ago at the Bastards Ball. We did a pick with Iron Root, and that was really fun. But I would like to do something myself, honestly. Better starter blends than Monkey Shoulder, Naked Grouse, maybe. Maybe. I don't know. That one didn't make my list, but let's see what has happened. No carbs in whiskey. That's true. I review neck pour, then my plan is to go back a few months later and do a re-review of the whiskey that breathed a little. I'm about to redo my list, my first reviewed Scotch. That's cool. Currently Glenmorangie 12 in my area, 40 to 45. Yeah, I think that's overpriced. Jack Daniel's single barrel strength. Hell yeah. So good. All right, a lot of stuff happened while I was while I was on the other screen. Yes, we would sure pick a bottle from you. Awesome. I'd rather see you do a pick with a craft distillery than a mass market product. Now, that's a really good point. You know where I would love to do a barrel pick? And in the rare, very, very minor, what do you want to call it? In the, I'm almost at 2 hours here. So I very much doubt that anybody from Tower Caro would ever watch this video for two hours. Your stuff was so good. It left such an impression on me. I would love to do a single barrel pick with you guys. Single barrel pick. Single barrel pick with you guys. But the problem is I have no way to distribute it, and I would want to be able to have people buy it on your website. I don't know if the coronavirus has made things a little easier for people who run distilleries to be able to ship things, but if that was the case, I would love to do a Tower Caro barrel pick. Maybe I could do it in conjunction with the Whiskey Crusaders. That would actually be very fun. But I bet I could find a really good craft distillery to do a barrel pick with. Maybe you and Mash and Drum can pick a bourbon distillery. Yeah, he just did something with Scott from My Bourbon Journey. If you guys haven't seen that, you should go check it out. I know nothing about it. I only promote him because I know Jason and Scott are both really good dudes and have good taste. So I would imagine whatever they picked is very good. Good luck with anything Texas. Is that... I don't know if that's sarcasm or if that's just like defeatism or if you're actually saying that. Have you had Cutty Sark Prohibition? I haven't had... Is Cutty Sark Prohibition different than just regular Cutty Sark? Because I've had the regular Cutty Sark, which is like super cheap. You know, you get a huge jug of it. You just kind of drink that if you're an alcoholic. I don't know if Prohibition is different. Aloha, Bill. Congratulations on 50K. Thanks. I'm taking it you're from Hawaii. So my wife and I went to Hawaii for our honeymoon, actually. It was my third trip to Hawaii, her first. I had been to Oahu, Kona, Maui. I think that's it so far. We did Maui and Oahu on our honeymoon, and it was awesome. For those of you out there who are scuba divers, I would highly recommend Hawaii as a place to go. You probably don't need to be convinced of that, but still, it's totally worth it. I took my wife on her very first scuba dive, which was kind of funny. So I might have told this story before. I probably have, but whatever. So the dive master was missing a leg and had a prosthetic, which had a whole bunch of sharks drawn on it and everything. It was like it was essentially tattooed, right? It was spray painted, and it was very hard not to ask, right? You look at that, you're like, this guy dives every day, probably multiple times, and he's missing a leg, and it's got sharks spray painted on it. One could draw conclusions about how he might have lost his leg. So of course, towards the end, I still hadn't asked, neither had my wife, and he's just like, you guys are wondering about my leg, aren't you? And we're just like, we weren't going to ask because we're trying to be polite, but yeah, 100%. And he's like, I lost it in a war. But everybody assumes a shark bit it off. And I always thought that was a funny story. And then when we finally went down diving, he actually said to my wife, he's like, now I don't want to sound sexist here, but I will tell you that almost every single woman that I take down scuba diving gets about 3 feet down and then immediately panics, spits out the regulator, and shoots to the top. And my wife did the exact same thing. And I just couldn't believe it. Because, like, you would think after hearing that story, you would think differently about it. But nope, didn't even matter. She got down about 3 feet down. I had my GoPro running. We went down a bit, and I see her, and she just kind of like is like... and then right to the top. And it was just very funny. And then she was fine for the rest of the dive. Anyway, Texas has some good stuff coming out lately. Yeah, it's 50% ABV version. Now, see, I think that if I were to do a barrel pick, it would have to be higher ABV. There's no way I would do anything below 50%. Yeah, no problem, Brothers of the Dram. Thanks for stopping by. Have you had the new Blue Sprout yet? I have not, but I have it. I have it right here. And I do first tastes on my Patreon. This will actually probably be my next one that I do, that I should say that I film. I don't know how many I have kind of pre-filmed, but I'm very eager to try this. Jason actually sent me this. I bought this and the Green Spot Bordeaux wine cask from Louisville Barton. Both of these Jason sent me. He had them available at his local store. And so thank you, Jason. And I'm very excited to try both of them, but I always do Irish whiskeys as my March videos, so I'm kind of saving them. All right, so I'm coming to a close here. I think it's 146. I can't imagine I'm going to go past 2. So I just want to remind everybody that if you submit any super chat of any value, you are entered into a drawing to win one of two $50 gift cards. Just makes sense. 50,000 subscribers doing $50 gift card. I didn't want to give just one away. So I want you all to be able to win some money. I'll be in communication. We'll chat and we'll figure out what your local liquor store is that you care about. And, I'll call them and I'll put $50 on your tab essentially. Or if it's a Total Wine, I'll send you a gift card. Whatever. It doesn't matter. Put it this way. If you throw a super chat of like $5, you have a pretty good chance of winning $50. So that's the way to think about it. It's funny how long I've been sipping on Jack Daniel's 7. But I'm going to kick it back because I'm going to do one more pick from the wheel. I do need to put on the glove. As one knows, without a glove, you get no love. Let's pick whatever this is. Ooh, this is a good one to end on and probably a problem for me. Oh, there's a couple of super chats. You guys are smart. Honestly, if I were in a situation like that, I'd probably throw one up there just for the chance of winning. So let's see. We got One Man's Odyssey. Have you had? What do you think of other SW whiskeys? Am I being dumb? What is SW? Stranahan's, High West. Cold. What is SW? Like Scotch whiskey? Oh, well, I was thinking Southwest, but like, honestly, I don't know. I've had High West before. I've had Stranahan's before. I guess maybe I'm being dumb. Oh, Southwestern U.S. Okay, I get it. I was like trying to think. I'm like, there's no brand called Southwest Distilleries that I know of anyway. Okay. It's funny. I was like, there's no way that means Southwest. Obviously, I was thinking Southwest. All right. Anyway, so Southwest Distilleries. That's a really unique question. I don't have a good answer to that, honestly. I've only had a couple of High West whiskeys. Funny story. Well, let me pause for a sec. So Glen Scotia Victoriana, 51.5% ABV. So let's pour this guy out. And then Don, I'll get. So let me just. Before your channel, did you wear your power glove around the house just for fun? What I do in the privacy of my own bedroom is not your business. Maybe. Could a Scotch be bottled in bond? Great question, and actually one I've looked into before. Bottled in bond is a U.S. thing. And I'm going to get back to your thing, One Man's Odyssey. Bottled in bond is a United States thing in that we had a whole bunch of jerks putting a whole bunch of crap in their whiskeys. And in order to make sure that people weren't doing that, we formed this concept called bottled in bond. The Scotch, what is it? Scotch Whisky Society? No. The name is escaping me right now. Somebody in the chat will help you out. I promise I'm not this dumb. I'm just drank a lot. Scotch. There is a Scotch Malt Association. Scotch Malt Whisky. Did I just say Whisky? Holy crap! This is going to be my last one. All right. There is a judicial board about Scotch. Keep up the great work on your channel. Thank you, Kevin. That determines what Scotch can be. That group has a lot of the same rules that make bottled in bond a thing. The US just has bottled in bond. So no, Scotch could not be bottled in bond in name, but in principle it could be. Scotch Whisky Association. Thank you. I knew it was like some combination of those letters. Hey, Matt. Thank you so much. I've drank several of your whiskeys here. I had the Glenfarclas 10, the Glen Scotia Victoriana, and actually the Loch Lomond 18. So thank you. So Matt, I'm starting to run out of samples. I don't want to pressure you, but I do know that you happen to have 10,000 bottles in your house. And if you're interested at all, I would love some more samples because the Wheel of Doom is a fun thing to do. Thank you, Scotch. So let me get back to One Man's Odyssey. So I have a funny story about the Boo Rye. So, yeah, no problem. Marnik? I can't see from here. I really wanted to do something for you guys that are overseas because I know that all of us whiskey tubers stream at like 8 or 9 p.m. Eastern time, and it's just the middle of your night. So I wanted to be able to do something fun for you guys. A lot of my viewers are from India, the EU in some capacity, or someplace other than the US and Canada. So I wanted to be able to finally do something for you. All right, so let's talk about the Boo Rye. So, as you guys know, Boo Rye is spelled Bourye. When I first saw this, I did not know that was how it was pronounced. In fact, I was playing a game of poker, and I was talking with a couple of folks, some of which watch this channel, so I won't name any names. And there was somebody I worked with at the time who was quite boring. They kind of droned on and on and on. And much like I'm doing. So when I first saw this, I saw the bottle. I thought it said Bourye because I just didn't really think about it. I was like Bourye, Bourye. So I was like, oh, hey guys, is this X name's whiskey? Because he totally bores you, whatever. So stupid joke, made drunkenly, probably not nearly as funny on a live stream, but the Boo Rye is a pretty good whiskey. Also was unavailable for a little bit of time, so if you happen to see it, you should pick one up. I can speak well about both the Campfire, the Double Rye, I think is what it's called, and the Boo Rye. All three of those are pretty good. Oddly enough, I've never reviewed anything from High West on this channel. A little surprised at that, actually, because it seems like I probably should have at this point. All right, so I'm sorry if I missed anybody. So, pop 'em, don't watch 'em. Hell yes, agree with the concept. Troy Christensen. Oh, it's Troy. Hey, you. I just sent out your package yesterday, actually. So definitely let me know if you get it, because it's the first time I've ever mailed alcohol through UPS, and I want to know if you get it. Kevin said, thank you. All right, yeah, he said good channel. All right, cool. So what did I pour? This is the Glen Scotia Victoriana. All right. So Matt, I feel bad that you tuned in right now because it's kind of an S show. I've drank a lot, so. Oh, that's good. You know whiskey's good if you've drank a lot and it's still good. Wow. Oh, that's so good. Matt, thank you for this one. Holy crap. I feel like I'm doing disservice having it at this point in the night or day. Glen Scotia Victoriana. Matt, if you know anything about this whiskey, can you put anything in the chat about it? I know nothing about it other than obviously Glen Scotia. This is so good. Holy crap. Charleston, thank you. Congrats again, man. You make the whiskey tube proud. Appreciate that, Charleston. Oh, this is so good. Oh, man. I might have to spend the rest of my day drinking the rest of a few of these. I don't know. This is good. So, in the interest of picking up a story that I dropped about an hour and a half ago. Nah, you know what, I'm not going to bother. Have you tried any Wilderness Trail bourbons? Oh, is this Campbelltown? Is it really? Oh, that makes me so happy. Maybe I just don't like Springbank. I don't really know a whole lot about Glen Scotia other than how to say it. Hey, Dribs. Thanks. Appreciate it. Wow, that's really good. Just woke up too, so hungover. Oh, bubble bath, I can relate. There have been a lot of streams. Monday night is a tough night to stream. It's presumably one of the best nights as far as not being drunk. As far as not being exhausted over the whole week of work. Monday night is a tough one to stream on, though, because you kind of start your whole week off on a certain foot of drinking a lot of whiskey. And it's nice to be able to continue that, or potentially dangerous to continue that. I'm out. All right, yeah. So, what time is it? 1:57. I think it is about time for me to shut this thing down. So anybody who wants to do a last-minute super chat to be entered into the raffle, feel free. Two $50 gift cards on the line. If you are not into it, then no big deal. I will put up a story with a randomized chat. A randomized selection. I'm going to hit randomize twice, and whoever the first selection in both of those is will get a $50 gift card, unless it's the same person, in which case I'll pick a second person. I'm not going to do that shit, because that's annoying. So, we have 3 minutes here. What do I want to talk about? Join the Discord. Come join the whiskey community. You guys are all awesome. Sorry, boy, I have had a lot to drink. This is what I'm trying to get out here. YouTube and whiskey is a match made in heaven. Being able to drink along with somebody on a live stream and potentially drink what they're drinking is a unique thing to our world at this time. What we also have is Discord. Discord is a chat program. You can find a link to it in the description of this video. And there are a lot of people in there that love to talk whiskey all day long. It's a really fun community. There's a lot of really nice people in there, and oftentimes we get in voice chat too. So you should think about joining. It's a very light app on your phone, won't really be a big deal, and you might really, really like it. So, join Discord. If you're interested in all enjoying Patreon, go do that. There's all kinds of good perks there, but I won't pitch that too much. What I really want to know, or what I really want to say, is that my kids are yelling. 50,000 subscribers is huge. I'm so excited to be part of this community and be somebody that you guys choose to watch and that you choose to tune into during the middle of your day. So thank you so much. Be sure to tune into any whiskey tubers who are really putting themselves out there to talk about whiskey. You will learn a ton. I've learned a ton from so many of you guys. So anybody out there in the whiskey tube community, know that I've seen your stuff. I watch all of you. I really do. Not every video, but I've seen all of your channels. I always look for new people, and I think it's just such a cool thing to be part of and a low entry to admittance. So, thank you guys for 50,000 subscribers. Thank you for 6 years of Whiskey Tube, and thank you for joining me here on the Whiskey Dictionary every week. I hope you have a great rest of your night or day. Thank you. Cheers.